Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing super well and welcome to this little video all about 3 amazing underrated oil painting mediums. Also, thank you so much for your wonderful comments on my last video and a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. All of the 3 mediums I'm going to talk about are non-toxic as far as I know, and they don't contain solvents. So the first one I'm going to talk about is this by this brand called Shawl Skull. I have no idea how to pronounce this. I believe this is a German brand, and that's all I know because I found this on a website in the UK that sells sort of niche products, and they had this item displayed, and I didn't really see very much information about the company. And I did a little bit of research, but I think this brand also sells oil paints as well, but this is the only product I've tried from them. And I really like this medium. As you can see, I've used a ton of it. It's basically a clear gel, and it is a walnut gel medium. So it contains obviously a gel made out of walnut oil, which is really interesting. I would say that it's about 2 days drying time, so pretty fast. It's not a slow drying medium at all. And I would, like all oil painting mediums, just add about no more than 25%, I would say, to your paint. Now, what I find this amazing for really is, what I think about gel mediums in general, is I really like the fact that you can use them for very sort of quick painting sessions, plein air painting sessions. I find them the best when you are only sort of layering it either once or twice. Or like say you're doing the final layer of oil painting, or you're just doing a painting in one sitting or maybe 2 sittings. I really do find that gel mediums therefore layer really nicely in just a couple of layers. I'm not a big fan of using gel mediums for doing like really long sort of painting sessions. Like if I was working on a painting and doing sort of like 5 to 10 layers or 10 to 15 layers or even more than that, I personally don't prefer to use gel mediums. I prefer to use a liquid, but that's just my personal preference and everyone is different. There's certainly nothing wrong with using a gel medium if you're doing like multiple layers. It's just not my preferred choice. So what I love about this is that it is clear, so it doesn't change the colour. I find that when I mix it with my paints and the paint dries, I find that the paint comes out really bright and luminous. It gives a really nice sort of glow effect to the paint, which is great, and it sort of emulates how walnut oils of walnut alkyd by M. Graham, I believe, operates, but this is in a gel form, so it's I think a lot more convenient if you're only painting in a really sort of brief painting session. So great for on the go, great for yes, a brief painting session, and no mess, no like liquid flying around or you have to clean it up and worrying about oily rags and things. You don't have to worry about that with this. As you can see, I've used a ton. I just said that. What else do I have to say? Yeah, it's just really a great product and no real scent, which is really surprising for me because the actual walnut oil and walnut alkyd do have a scent of walnut alkyd. It's not really of walnuts, it's just of like walnut. It smells like walnut varnish or something, or just varnish basically. And actually I don't really like the smell of walnut oil, to be honest, because I do find it a bit strong. So I don't tend to use walnut oil liquid mediums very much, purely because of the smell actually, because I do really like the way they look. But yeah, this is a great option if you kind of like are sensitive to smells as well and you don't like anything that kind of stinks. These are really good. So yeah, I do like it a lot, and I think I paid about £10 for this, and this was 50 millilitres. And I bought this ages ago and I still haven't used it up. Okay, so next up we have the Velasquez medium, the oil painting medium. I've done a full review on this product on my channel somewhere. Is around there in the masses of videos I've done, and I've only used this a few times, but I think this is such a cool product. It basically emulates the sort of style and effect that Velasquez used in his oil painting. So if you're a fan of his work, if you want to create that kind of old master effect, but it's with thicker paint, so there's certainly like sort of different techniques that old masters use. Some vary enormously, and with Velasquez, his technique was using thicker glowing paint, and that is really the sort of effect that this creates. It's basically calcite mixed with bodied linseed oil, and you can add also linseed oil to this, like sort of stand oil or bodied linseed oil to this, so that actually it kind of creates a even bigger glow, if that's what you want, bigger sheen. And what was amazing about his portraits was that when you look close up, you can see like really distinctive brush marks, but he's still got that luminosity effect to his paintings, particularly sort of when you go close and look at the skin of the portraits. And so yeah, it's just a really interesting product. It is thick and gloopy, so it will clog up your brushes, just be aware. But if you are a huge admirer of creating those types of effects and look to your artwork, it's really worth checking out. This is also a really nice product if you have oil paint that is really thin. Like say you've bought a lot of oil paints and you don't like the consistency because you feel like the consistency is too runny, you can actually add a bit of this and it will actually add like that bulk to your paint. And again, it's you know, some sort of impressionists and things like that, they have much thicker paint in their artworks, and Constable, again, another one who, you know, use very thick paint. So if you want that impasto effect but your paint you feel is too thin, then you can add this and that just sort of adds the body effect. So this is obviously by Rublev, really famous company that makes all these sort of historical mediums, historical paints, and I think I paid around 10 to 15 pounds, don't quote me on this, it was something like that, it wasn't extortionate. And this is 50 millilitres as well, how nice. You can get these in tins, but I detest tins just because I just hate digging around in them, so much prefer the tube. So I'd say if you want to try it out, try and get your hands on the tube. And so finally we have Oleogel. I also created a review on this. This is also by Rublev, and I don't actually use this medium, and I'll tell you why. But the reason I'm talking about it is I do think that it is still, here is the tin, it is still a very interesting medium, and it might be one that you want to check out, even though it's not for me. So I don't want to sort of give a negative review and say it's not worth looking at, because this product has so many fans, it has so many followers. Before I bought this product, loads of people online just raved about it, and I'd seen so many videos where people were talking about how it was like their favourite gel medium of all time. The reason I don't love it, well, first of all, let me explain what it is just quickly. It's a sulphate-free gel medium. I would say it has a little bit of colour to it, so it's a little bit yellow, and this is made actually out of linseed oil. So where we had the other medium, which was a walnut oil medium in a gel form, this is linseed oil in gel form. And I would say the drying time is about 2 to 3 days, so pretty fast. And all you do, of course, as per standard with most gel mediums, is you just add 25% or less to your paint when you're mixing in, and then sort of go from there. And it's actually really easy to use, like all these sort of clear gel mediums, or clearish. But my issue with this one was that I felt when I used it that it actually darkened my paint slightly. Now this is an issue that sometimes happens with anything made out of linseed oil, and I'm not talking about stand oil, which is the sort of boiled linseed oil, because I find that doesn't happen with stand oil, but with straight up linseed oil, if in any sort of form, I just find that that has happened with me for some reason. So it's kind of why I tend to avoid using linseed oil as my painting medium, even though all the paints that I use tend to be oil paints formulated with linseed oil, so it's kind of a really weird thing. But I just imagine it's the fact that I add more linseed oil that just darkens the paint, I think. And it has a reputation of doing that, unfortunately. So for me, I felt there was, when the paint dried, instead of, whilst it has a really nice luminosity when mixed with the paint, creates a nice glow, a nice uniform colour. I didn't find it went patchy or anything, and it dried evenly, but I just felt that it darkened my painting on 2 or 3 occasions, and so I decided I can't use it anymore because I'm super fussy, and I just feel like, you know, I just don't like anything that could potentially go darker, and I feel like if the painting dries a little bit darker, maybe in a few years it may get even darker. So I just, because I have so many amazing mediums, I decided to run away from this one. But that doesn't mean to say that it won't work for you. Say for example, if you're using an oil primed linen, which is not a surface that I always use. I do sometimes, but not always. If I'm using like a panel, sometimes maybe the linseed oil does go a little bit darker on those if I use a linseed oil medium. So you might want to check it out anyway. This is really, really popular. So many people love it. And so yes, this is my kind of like, I don't like it, but you might sort of extra thing. So yeah, so that was my 3. How much did I pay for this? I think it was about £20, but I didn't want to get this. The company had run out of the tube and I was so impatient. I bought this ages ago and I haven't used it, but much obviously. I've only used it a few times, which is the tragedy of it all. But yes, the company had sold out of the tubes, and so I bought the tin, and that was a mistake because I've hardly used any, and the tin is also really annoying. I just really don't like using tins, but there we are. So a tragic tale, but still worth trying. And I hope you liked this video. Do I have anything else left to say? No, I don't think so. And yes, have an amazing holiday period. And oh, do check out my Etsy shop if you are interested. I have some new oil paintings listed on there, and yeah, I will leave a link below. And so I will be back soon with more kind of oil painting reviews and anything related to oil painting. So I'll see you soon. Take care, guys.